Hey guys, Ryan here. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about what I think are the top 5 ARs that aren't the STG. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I'm pretty much just going to get right into it, and we're going to start with the NZ41. This is one of the few guns I'm going to talk about on this list that I actually believe might be better than the STG in some circumstances. Now, the main thing that this gun lacks is really good bullet velocity at longer ranges, but what it has over the STG is the fact that if you just hit one headshot, the time to kill will be super good, and it's just going to outright obliterate the STG's time to kill. The other weird thing about this gun is that when you look at the builds down in the description, you're going to notice that the NZ tells you to use a burst barrel. You can still use the gun automatically even when you have the burst barrel equipped, but you have to make sure that every time you pick it up from a new life or something like that, you're hitting the button to change the fire mode. Overall, I still think the STG might be better sometimes than the NZ41, but this is an extremely good competitor and I'd heavily recommend giving it a go. At number 2, we're going to have a fan favorite, the Grau. Now, I've really come to enjoy using this thing because it's just a classic gun, but not only that, it feels really good right now. It has super low recoil, it has really good bullet velocity, especially in comparison to some other Modern Warfare and Cold War guns, and overall, I just really enjoy the feel of it. Obviously, feel is a massive part of any gun, but especially when you're talking about Modern Warfare guns, they usually feel really good, and the Grau is no exception. If you're kind of looking for an alternate AR and you prefer Modern Warfare guns, then I would heavily recommend giving the Grau a go, simply because of how powerful I really think it is. I don't think it's necessarily broken or as good as the STG in a vacuum, but I do think for some people, and if you're just looking for something different, then this is a perfectly viable option. And if you're a fan of Modern Warfare guns, I think this might be your best long range pick right now. The third gun we're going to talk about in today's video is going to be the Cooper Carbine. The Cooper is in a very weird position. When you look at the raw stats, it's really not that competitive with the STG, but when you talk about feel and you talk about usefulness in particular for console players, that's where the Cooper Carbine really shines. I still think it's great for PC players, but on console, it has such low visual recoil that it really makes it stand out, and I think it's a top tier choice for almost any console player and also any PC player. It does lack in bullet velocity, especially compared to the STG, and that's what makes it kind of iffier on Caldera. On Caldera, it really doesn't have that same oomph and feel like it does on Rebirth, and I do think a lot of people may notice it if they play both the maps. You can definitely still use it on Caldera, don't get me wrong, and I still recommend it for Caldera, but it almost serves the role of sniper support a little better for that map. If you have yet to try this thing as a long range option on Rebirth though, I would heavily recommend giving it a try at least once. It might not be the perfect fit for everyone. I think some people aren't going to enjoy the lack of damage in some aspects, and I think some people might be bothered overall just by its feel. But I think the vast majority of people would thoroughly enjoy using this gun, and it is super easy to use. And that's going to take me into the fourth guns on this list, the QBZ and Vargo 52. I'm not sure if either of these guns are outright better than the STG, the NZ, or whatever, but I personally love using both of them, and if you're someone who loves Cold War assault rifles like the XM4 and Cold War AK, then I think these are the guns for you. These guns feel kind of weird. They have a little bit more visual recoil and physical recoil as well than some of the other guns on this list, but they also have really good damage, and they're not that bad to control, and they just have that classic Cold War feel. I know a lot of people don't like Cold War guns, but some people, like myself, and I do feel like a good bit of people, we really enjoy Cold War guns. Cold War assault rifles like the Farah, the Kilo, even the guns like the M16, all of those, I love the feel. I kind of enjoyed when those were meta a lot, and the QBZ and Vargo feel very similar to those old meta guns. They aren't as good as they used to be. They definitely aren't as competitive as they were in prior metas, but they're still really fun to use and they're still perfectly viable. You can't really go wrong using these. I just think some people are going to be bothered by the recoil of the QBZ and the Vargo a little bit. I personally prefer using these guns on Rebirth because I feel like the recoil isn't suited necessarily for Caldera, but I still enjoy them on Caldera. I just think they're a little stronger on Rebirth. If you guys enjoy Cold War assault rifles or you're looking for something different, then I would definitely consider the QBZ or the Vargo. So now, last but not least, we're going to be talking about the bar. So now the bar is an extremely interesting gun, and that's because the potential of this thing is through the roof, but the actual feel and real practical use of it is kind of limited, it feels like. For some reason, this gun either feels like it's the best gun in the game or it feels terrible to use. I'm not exactly sure why this is. I do think part of it is the bullet velocity and the way the hitbox and the damage profile is. But sometimes I'm using this thing and I think I got the best gun in the game. I think it's way better than the STG. Then sometimes I'm using it and I'm like, why did I pick this thing? Why am I putting myself through this? It is a pea shooter. It does not kill in enough bullets. It fires too slow. It's useless at long ranges. And then some games I'm at long range, 100 meters off, and I'm just melting kids. I'm not exactly sure what makes this gun so inconsistent, but it certainly is a big problem with it. But I also have to factor in that sometimes it feels amazing. It literally, as I said before, sometimes just feels like the best assault rifle in the game, and I've yet to necessarily figure out why this is, but I hope to one day understand the puzzle of this beast. I would still really recommend this gun because I think it's going to be extremely hit or miss for people. I think you're either going to love this gun and the potential of it, or you're just going to end up not really liking it, and either way, I wouldn't blame you, and that's why I'm going to put it last on this list. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making this video. I enjoyed making this particular one because I know that the STG is just dominating the meta, and I wanted to give people a couple options that aren't the same old. Anyways, guys, it's been Ryan. I hope you have a good day. Peace.